Alright, so on the way to the gym for legs, specifically a quad biceps leg day. So, oh shit, it's not good. Dude, what the fuck? There we go. Alright, anyway, yeah, so what the hell is that? Is that a fox or a cat? I think that was a fox from the way around. Anyway, yeah, on the way to the gym for some legs, so I'm going to start off with squats like normal and go on from there. I'm getting to the gym a little bit later than I'd like, so probably will end up not doing we'll see about calves. It also just depends on how early or how late, I guess is not a better word that, but how early or late I end up finishing this leg day. Because if I finish it early or earlier, then I'll probably do calves and abductors and all that. I'll do my leg day accessories. But if I end up finishing later, then depends on how late. If it's like pretty late, then I'm not gonna do any accessories. But if it's like not that late, then I'll just do calves. But we'll see what happens. Depends on how efficient I am. Oh crap. How efficient I am about with my rest periods, and how if I get distracted or not on my phone or something, or just take too long of rest periods, or shit happening that shouldn't happen, to put it simply. But yeah, we'll see what happens once we get in there and get all warmed up and whatnot. So actually, never mind. Interesting. But anyway, yeah, as far as prep goes, prep is going well. So I keep so with the food situation in general, I don't track my calories, which sounds pretty bad at first, but I follow a meal plan, has meals and smoothie in it and whatnot, so has the meals laid out and how much. So it's like, that's why I'm not really, like, if I didn't have that and I was just doing Well, I mean, whether I was doing different things every day or not, like basically if I didn't have the meal plan, then yeah, I would track my calories, so that way, yeah, that way I would make sure I'm in a deficit from my maintenance. But since, you know, I started on this meal plan, I've just kind of chipped away slowly over the last couple of weeks. I've just kind of chipped away slowly at certain things, and I mean, it's working. So it's like, to me, and also, you know, another thing to be able to tell if your cut or your prep is working is also watching the scale. So now I wouldn't say that's a foolproof way. That's more so, I would say if you're just trying to cut down, not really. I would say, like, if you're just trying to lose weight, just like you're fat or something, and you want to, you know, get rid of weight, then watching the scale is a better, you know, that's a pretty, like, decent way to see if what you're doing is working. But yeah, with prep, it's not like, you're not trying to lose weight, you're trying to lose fat. Well, that depends. Oh, pardon me, holy crap. That depends. So, like, for the bigger guys that have to actually cut down to meet the weight cap for their specific height, that's completely different, because then you are trying to lose weight. You are trying to get the number on the scale to go down. But I mean, for someone like me who's 20 pounds under the weight cap for my height, yeah, it's that bad. Anyway, yeah, for someone like me who's underweight and who doesn't have to, like, meet a weight cap, you know, then I don't really have to worry about that. I just have to watch my body in the mirror. And I mean, over time, like, of course, it's an accident because individuals cannot drive. Anyway, for me, it's just more so look at myself in the mirror every day and also check my weight. And yeah, I mean, over time, the weight on the scale is definitely going to go down, especially as I, you know, keep chipping away at stuff. So, yeah, we'll just have to see what goes on. But yeah, yeah, just gotta. For me, I would say it's more so about keeping an eye on the mirror rather than the scale, because, you know, even though my weight might plateau, you know, there might be visual changes that I can see, so. But again, I don't fully know how all this stuff works and whatnot yet, so. But yeah, the more I do it, the more I'll understand it. so we'll see what happens. Well, I'll say we'll see what happens, but yeah, it really just depends on. As far as like post competition, so you know, after, all that really is gonna like, I guess, determine shit or whatever, is whether I enjoy the competition lifestyle or not, or I guess I should say the bodybuilding lifestyle or not, because I mean, training isn't exactly, you know, well, basically, I've kind of said this before, but if I like it, or if I enjoy what I'm, you know, if I enjoy the bodybuilding lifestyle, competition lifestyle, ooh, it's a nice bike. Well, then I'm going to keep doing it, but you know, if I am not too fond of it, or I don't like it for whatever reason, then I'll just go back to doing combat sports, and yeah. So, anyway, let's go ahead and get in there. Already practically an hour late, so yeah, let's go ahead, get in there, warm up, and make shit happen.
I gotta buy.
overall, great leg day. Very tiring leg day, I can tell you that. Yeah, I am, needless to say, I am most definitely exhausted. That's the heaviest I've ever gone on that one leg press, I think. Or well, now I don't remember. It was either that one or a different one, but there are, there are 6 100-pound plates in the gym, so if I were to load them up on a leg press, it would, you know, be 3 each side. Well, no, because that would still be more. What I did today would still be more than that, so I think that's maybe the most. No, wait, never mind. I've thrown on 45s on top of those plates before. Never mind. So what I did today was 630, 630 pounds. So plus whatever the machine weight is, which I mean isn't going to be much, but anyway. But yeah, I've done, I don't know if it was like that specific one, or if it was the other one next to it that on my hamstring bias days, the sled press that I use. I'm pretty sure it's a hamstring machine, hamstring sled press. I'm pretty sure it's a hamstring sled press, but anyway. Pardon me, that was probably really loud. But, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the other leg press. I don't think it was. Well, now I don't even remember anymore. I'm gonna stop trying to figure it out. But all I know is that I've done more than what I did today, but that was like some time ago when I would, and not during a cut, so. But, yeah. But anyway, overall, great leg day. I'm debating on whether or not I'm going to do a card talk, but if I don't, if I decide not to, then I'll just end this with this. But tomorrow is going to be push day, so assuming I eat good tonight, then I'll be fine. So, that push day will be good. So, other than that, that's all I got. So, I'll see you tomorrow for that. But otherwise, if I end up doing a card talk, then I'll see you in the car for that. Alright, so back in the car, I ended up deciding to do a card talk. So, here we are. Anyway. Yeah, overall great quad bias leg day. Everything got hit pretty good, I would say. As you can tell, I am indeed exhausted and tired. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to make my last meal before I get in the shower, or before I shower, because otherwise it's it's not happening, I can tell you that. Anyway, but very much a well-needed leg day, I would say. Yeah, very, very much a well-needed leg day. So, glad I was able to get in it. So, anyway. But, this topic is actually gonna coincide with whatever interchangeable word you want to use there. This is gonna, parallel my change, like speech about changing and change and whatnot. A lot. Well, really, yeah, a lot. But anyway, so outgrowing old versions of yourself. So yeah, changing. Most of this, well, I don't know about most of it, but some of it is definitely going to be, there's going to be some repeats of the change speech, but anyway. So, yeah, outgrowing old versions of yourself. Yeah, in order to... Ow, that fucking hurt. Sorry. In order to become better, not necessarily as like a moral, like as a person, not, so, let me like rephrase that. Not necessarily, I mean, it can also involve this, but just like becoming, if you want to become better at something, there's going to be a time where you're going to have to outgrow that old version of yourself. And sometimes it's going to be, I guess repeated day, where might be like certain time at certain time of year where you outgrow the previous version, like the previous year of yourself. And sometimes it's just like in the context of, let's say you're sobering up from, or you're deciding to make a change and become, get sober from an addiction, right? You gotta outgrow that old version of yourself that was addicted to whatever, and become, the better version or a newer version of yourself. And sometimes some things take longer than others, I will say that. But at some point in everyone's life, they at least once outgrow an old version of themselves. And you have to. That's just the part of life. That's just how life is. That's the only way to, move forward. Sometimes you might be in a certain phase of life, and the only way to get out of that is by becoming a different version or a better version of yourself. And you need to, in order to do that, you need to outgrow the old version of yourself. For instance, the guys that compete in the Mr. Olympia, right? More specifically, for instance, Chris Bumstead. Each year that he decided to compete once again, he had to outgrow the old version of himself from the previous year. So that's an example. The sobering up from becoming sober from an addiction, that's more of that's another example. Oh, hello. Yeah, it was a deer. No, I didn't hit it. Pretty sure that would be obvious if I hit the deer. Anyway, but so, and that's kind of what I meant originally when I first said becoming better. I was speaking in more so of gym aspect, bodybuilding aspect. If in order to win that competition, you gotta outgrow that old version of yourself. Because your old version, sure, you might have won that competition once or the previous year, but what about what about the other competitors who didn't win? They're probably coming back with a vengeance that consecutive year. So therefore, you got to come back. If they're coming back 100%, you got to come back 110. If not 101. So this also kind of coincides with how bad do you want what you say you want, kind of thing. But yeah, in order to become better, you need to get rid of or shed off, like a reptile or something. Gotta shed off that old version, and then once you get all that crap off you completely, well, not necessarily, some things are like going from, or like a caterpillar going from, or like from going, fuck, give me a second, sorry, or like a caterpillar going from a caterpillar to a butterfly, right? Other things are like a reptile, where it's not necessarily a completely different thing. It's still the same animal, just with new skin. And You know, some things are sometimes, well, yeah, I'm just gonna kind of repeat some stuff, but some changes are bigger or larger than others. You know, some changes are a complete 180, some are just couple degrees of a change. Either way, it's still a change, even if it's just by, 1 degree. So, and, it's like, if I'm remembering this correctly, they're called protractors, but it's like a protractor, right? Even though, some changes might be 90, some changes might be 180, right? Well, I guess on a protractor that would be going straight ahead, but anyway. Some things are 45 degrees and some are only 10, some might just be 1. But over time, that the change becomes more noticeable over time. That's basically where I was trying to go with that. But I mean, you understand what I mean, right? So like on a longer timeline, that 1 degree of change, it's barely noticeable at first. You might not even be able to see it at first. But on a longer timeline, it does eventually become more noticeable. And you do start to see that gap between 0 and 1. So, anyway. But kind of a short one there, but anyway. Other than that, that's all I got. So I'll see you tomorrow for, almost said, a quad bias leg day. That's how you know I'm tired. I'll see you tomorrow for what should hopefully be a good push day, as long as I eat something, or at least eat good tonight. So anyway, yeah, I'll see you tomorrow for what comes next.